Zorba's Orphan Fund is basically set up to provide food and clothes and shelter, including post-secondary education to orphans, particularly orphans whose parents have died of HIV/AIDS in Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean. The reason I started Zorba's Orphan Fund is because my husband, Wim Alberts, who was working with the World Bank for 16 years, he dedicated his life to providing a better quality of life to at-risk groups in Africa. And these at-risk groups are orphans whose parents have died of HIV/AIDS, and youths who are coming out of orphanages, and widows whose kids have died of HIV/AIDS and they have left the orphans behind. These widows have no way of providing for the orphans that their children have left behind. We all are aware of the devastating impact of AIDS on orphans, and particularly on the socio-economic conditions of the countries in which these orphans live. The World Bank was basically involved in a lot of projects here in Africa. My husband was basically involved in looking at how the bank could alleviate some of these devastating impacts of AIDS on these widows, orphans, and youths coming out of the orphanages. Zorba's Orphan Fund, even though we are thinking that we want to meet the needs, the basic needs of the youths, what we want to do is to focus on their education. And when I say education, I mean focus on the post-primary education of these youths, because we can give them food, we can give them clothes, and we can give them shelter, but when they get to ages 14 to 25, somehow or the other, there is no one to pick up to fill the gap, or to prepare them so that they can negotiate at a higher level in society.
After I finish my class 8 study, I'll go back to my relative, my auntie, and I'm hoping that I will study hard and become what I need. And I will become a lawyer so that I can stand for the rights of those people who need my help. Yes.
So what we want to do is to raise funds through Zorba's Orphan Funds to be able to give these kids a better quality of life, so that they will be able to take care of themselves when they become adults, and that they will also be able to make a contribution to the socio-economic conditions of the country in which they live. And I'm doing so in partnership with Convoy of Hope, because Convoy of Hope is actually doing the same kinds of things. They're looking after orphans, they're looking after widows, they're looking after all these vulnerable at-risk groups, and they're responding to needs immediately. And the reason why my focus is on education is because somebody took the time to provide post-primary education for me that allowed me to be able to negotiate at a higher level in society. I understand what it means to go without food sometimes, right? And even though I didn't have to go without food on a daily basis, I can't imagine what it would be like to live in what I call rat-infested slum area. And these kids, when I look into their faces and see the hope that they have, I think that Convoy of Hope is making a tremendous difference, and I can make a tremendous difference in the lives of these kids by giving them an education and allowing them to be able to continue the work that Convoy of Hope is doing by reaching back and providing for those that come after them.
Folks, I want you to see the shoe. Look at that. This young man is walking around on rocks, glass. But today, because of your help, he's going to get new shoes.
So my appeal to all of you who are watching me is I'd like you to be able to join me in providing education, post-primary education, and vocational educational training for these kids who are coming out of these orphanages.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. We are going to unveil that.
It is dedicated to the memory of Wim H.M.E. Albert, former World Bank staff who dedicated his life to empower African orphans and vulnerable groups.